Mr. Speaker, thank you very much. And I rise tonight to help manage a special order hour to recognize our wonderful friend who's now leaving us in the U.S. House, Ms. Jennifer Wexton. And I rise with respect and admiration and love for Jennifer. Mr. Speaker, I first became aware of Jennifer in December 2013 when she won a crowded primary to succeed a state senator who's just been elected Attorney General. I mostly saw her on local TV, these ads that showed up again and again. That was a very cold month and a very special election. And when she won, I was just starting this race for U.S. Congress. And she was a real inspiration to me at that very time. You know, a couple years later, Jerry Connolly and I served with Barbara Comstock. We were a sometimes good, sometimes tense team from Northern Virginia, but we really wanted to take back the House. And we thought the best possible candidate to take on Barbara Comstock was this wonderful state senator from Loudoun County. And Mr. Speaker, I remember calling Jennifer and saying, why don't you not give up your Senate seat, but jump into this race and take on Barbara? She's only been in for 2 years. Jennifer has the wisdom of a great politician and know that timing is everything in politics. And she said, no, absolutely not. Donald Trump went on to win that election. Barbara Comstock went on to win it easily. But maybe a bunch of us got something started in her mind, because 2 years later, there was a tough six-way primary with a number of very good women in that race. And Jennifer prevailed in that primary and went on to beat Barbara with 56% of two-term incumbent. And she has been just a delight and a great resource for Virginia ever since. Mr. Speaker, she actually went to the University of Maryland, but we forgive her because she went to law school at William & Mary. She redeemed herself. And I'm very proud to represent her parents who live in Alexandria, Virginia. She has a great husband, 2 sons. Somehow, contrary to the two-parent working families that we have everywhere in America, she was able to work it out with Andrew so that he would be the full-time caretaker at home for the kids. You're sort of relatively unique in current American culture, but it worked beautifully. They got the right people in the right jobs. I'm also thrilled. For many, many years, I worked on campaigns against Frank Wolf, who actually was a distinguished member of this House. But I started in 1982, and Frank served for 34 years. All that just goes to say that this district was founded in 1952 at the post-war expansion. Joel Broyhill won in 1952 and held the seat for 22 years. But for 66 years, only six of those 66 years was that seat held by a Democrat. Joe Fisher, only elected in the Watergate landslide of 1974 and ousted in the Reagan landslide of 1980. So then, after 66 years, finally, we get Jennifer Wexton, who comes back, turns the seat blue, gives us great representation. I believe the first Loudoun County member in the history of the country ever to represent Loudoun County in the U.S. Congress. I've loved working with her, as has Abigail Spanberger, Tim Kaine, Mark Warner, Jerry Connolly. All of us have come together on Northern Virginia issues and on Virginia issues to make enormous progress. You know, she is tough but kind, and the toughness has really come out in the last year. When first Jennifer believed that she had been diagnosed with Parkinson's, we saw a toughness and a resoluteness. But then when that diagnosis turned out to be much more serious, she called all of us to let us know that she wasn't quitting, that despite the at least short-term deterioration in her physical condition, she was resolute, she was full of courage, she was full of commitment, and through these long, difficult days, she has been here every single day, cast every single vote, been here patiently, listening, contributing whatever she could, using the latest technology to speak up, and with her aide at her side, she has been a vital part of this Congress through the supranuclear palsy. We hate to see her go. It is a great loss to this institution. It's a loss to Virginia not to have her in this body. She wisely looked at the next primary, the primary to succeed her, looked at all the different candidates and chose one that she thought would best represent her. And I think most people would believe that he only won that primary because he was blessed by Jennifer Wexton. We'll all have more to say, but I would love to yield to our dear friend and colleague across the aisle, our just newly re-elected member from Virginia Beach, Congresswoman Kiggins.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I rise today to honor the career of my colleague and friend, Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton of Virginia's 10th District. I first met Congresswoman Wexton, not here in the halls of Congress, but when I was elected to the Virginia State Senate in 2019, and I remember the day that she first came and visited us on the floor and how she went around the room and shook hands with every member, all 40 of us that day. While our time in the Virginia General Assembly did not overlap, her legacy of serving her constituents lived on in the chamber. When I entered Congress, I was elected as the second of 3 Jennifers to be elected to the 118th Congress from Virginia. I've enjoyed serving alongside these other 2 Jens as a member of the bipartisan Jennifer Caucus. Like so many in Virginia and across the country, I was saddened by the announcement of Congresswoman Wexton's diagnosis in September of 2023. While she announced that she would not be running for re-election in 2024, she fought against the odds to fulfill her commitment to her constituents and serve for the remainder of the 118th Congress. She also became an advocate for her disease process and a loud voice, and just brought awareness to so many of us here in the House of Representatives. Members of Congress will oftentimes stand here on the House floor and talk of the sacrifices they make to serve their districts. But, Mr. Speaker, you would be hard-pressed to find someone who has sacrificed more for her constituents than Congresswoman Wexton has over the past year and a half. Rather than leave Congress to spend time with her family and friends in Northern Virginia, she's remained here working every day. Even when her physical voice left her, she got very creative and with the help of technology has continued to be a strong advocate for the residents of Virginia's 10th District with distinction. The impact she left in Richmond and will leave in Washington is truly impressive and will be remembered by the citizens of Virginia for years to come. I thank my friend for her eagerness to continue serving against all odds and for her years of selfless sacrifice to our Commonwealth and to the United States of America. She will be missed by our entire Virginia congressional delegation, and I know that the Commonwealth of Virginia will be thinking of her and will be supporting her in the future. Thank you, and I yield back.
Congresswoman Kiggins, thank you very much for staying late and for your thoughtful kind words. Let me now recognize the Dean of the Virginia delegation, recently re-elected by the steering committee this afternoon, hopefully to be the next ranking member of the Education Workforce Committee, Congressman Scott.
Thank you, and I thank you for organizing this special order and giving us the opportunity to say some nice things about our good friend Jennifer Wexton. She's retiring after many years of dedicated service to the Commonwealth of Virginia and our nation. Since joining the House in 2019, Jennifer has been a relentless advocate for her constituents and a champion for equality, justice, and fairness. Before serving in Congress, she was a leader in the Virginia State Senate, where she led gun safety initiatives, expanded access to health care, and supported public education. And her legal background as both a prosecutor and an advocate for survivors of domestic violence still provides an important perspective to her service. During her time here in Congress, she has fought for working families, reproductive rights, transportation improvements. She's worked to expand broadband access, protect voting rights, advance climate initiatives, and during a time of bitter partisanship, Jennifer has also focused on bipartisan cooperation and working across the aisle to bring people together. Beyond her legislative accomplishments, her courage and resilience in facing her personal health challenges while continuing to serve her constituents exemplifies her strength, character, and grace. She is an inspiration to everyone who serves in this chamber and many others across the country. She's also placed a much-needed spotlight on the need for Congress to invest more resources in combating Parkinson's and other related neurodegenerative diseases. As the Dean of the delegation, I know as As the gentlelady from Virginia Beach has just said, I know we will all miss her here in Congress, and I join a chorus of voices thanking her for her service, determination, and dedication to the Commonwealth of Virginia and to our nation. Thank you, Jennifer, for your dedication. Thank you.
Congressman Scott, thank you once again for staying late and for your 32 years of service just in this institution, not counting all the others. It is now my pleasure, Mr. Speaker, to recognize the force of nature, the wonderful representative from Virginia, and a person many of us hope will be the first woman governor in Virginia's history. Ms. Spanberger.
Mr. Speaker, and to my colleagues from Virginia, thank you so much for the opportunity to celebrate the extraordinary work and the extraordinary example of our dear Congresswoman Jennifer Wexton. I first had the experience of seeing Jennifer when she was a state senator at an Equal Rights Amendment event. I was a mom, a former public servant. I'd just moved back home to Virginia, and I was at this advocacy day to see what was happening at the General Assembly, to see the good work of so many people who have become friends of mine. And I saw this woman with this beautiful long hair and this effusive control of the room. And she was talking about Virginia's role in ultimately the goal, and one that would be achieved, the goal of ensuring that Virginia became one of the states, one of the final, at that time, final 3 required states to ratify the Equal Rights Amendment. Ultimately, Virginia became the last, the necessary. And I remember watching her speak, full of vibrance and joy and humanity and humility, and I thought, she is amazing. And little did I know that not only would she continue to be an example for me, but that she would be a friend and someone who I would look up to throughout my time here in Congress. And what I know to be true about Jennifer is she is an extraordinarily witty, sometimes sassy, and devoted colleague. For those who have the pleasure of knowing Jennifer, you better know your facts, your details, your information, and be ready. Because just when you think you're having a serious-minded conversation about a serious topic, she'll come right into the conversation with kind of her perspective. She's whip smart and she's funny. And even as this disease, as PSP has taken her voice, for anybody on a text chain or anyone who is next to her and her technological devices, her wit is there, her wit is fierce, and it is extraordinary to see how she continues both to do the work for the people of Virginia's 10th district, but also to be a caring, focused peer and mentor to so many of us. I'm wearing this scarf today because while I met her many years ago when she was in the state Senate, where we really became friends was when we were both running for Congress in 2018. And this scarf shows so many of us who were on the ballot that year. And there's a picture of Jennifer right here with her gorgeous long hair and bright smile that shows her, as I know her to be, right, focused, thoughtful, and peering straight forward. Even in this drawing that is on a silk scarf, her stare and her focus is clear. And so since the first day that we all arrived here, so many in our class didn't come from state legislatures, came from a variety of backgrounds, bringing different expertise, different types of passion to our work in the halls of Congress. And at times it was Jennifer who chose to kind of herd the cats of the class of 2018, making sure that we were getting some of the procedural language correct, making sure that we were kind of seeing the forest through the trees. And for me, as a mother with 3 young daughters, Our friendship, as I've watched her navigate being a mother to two teenage boys, as we talked about the types of television commercials to do along the way, and I saw her, I would say, essential minivan commercial, which is like everything you ever want to see or need to see about kind of moms and politics, just getting it all done. I have been grateful for her friendship. It's been amazing to see you lead by example. It has been amazing to see you fight for what you believe in. It has been amazing to see you live every single day full of vim, full of vigor, and with deep, deep humility and a focus on serving others. And I want to continue focusing on all of the extraordinary bright spots of you, but I do think it's important to note that so many other people in your shoes, so many other people were they facing any type of challenge, let alone the health challenge that you face, would have made different decisions, would have stepped away. And the fact that while you're in the fight of your life, you've continued to fight for others. You've continued to be here day in and day out. You've continued to vote for your constituents, to work for your constituents, and lead by your extraordinary example. It means a lot to all of us. I know it means a lot to your constituents. And I think you are teaching us all a lesson every single day, that you show up and that you do the good work. The team you have built and the extraordinary people who spend their days learning from you and learning with you will continue forward to do right, hopefully by the Commonwealth of Virginia, or in whatever other paths of public service they may pursue. And so, Jennifer, as a friend, I'm grateful for you. As a colleague, I've learned so much from you. As a woman in politics and as a mom, you've been an extraordinary example for so many of us. And I love you so, so very much. And I look forward to continuing to celebrate you into the future. And I hope that by the end of this week, we actually get to see our done on time so you can begin enjoying your retirement, my darling friend. And with that, I yield back.
Congresswoman Spanberger, thank you very, very much. And thank you for speaking from the heart, as you always do. I want to put just a little more context into Ms. Wexton also, because Congressman Scott mentioned that she'd been a prosecutor. She was actually Deputy Commonwealth Attorney for 4 or 5 years in the early 2000s, with a number of major cases to her credit that she had prosecuted. When she got to the Virginia Senate, she was one of the real champions for the Medicaid expansion, because we had made that possible, but that had to be adopted state by state. And it was Jennifer's leadership in the state Senate that made that huge difference. She also fought, especially for people with disabilities. Interestingly, when she was elected 2018, we're very proud. That was the day that Jennifer Wexton, Abigail Spanberger, and Ms. Luria, 3 Virginia women took back the U.S. House. She was the first member ever to put a transgender flag on the door of her office. This is a difficult thing even today, but then it was spectacular. You know, most of us here have been involved in suicide prevention for a long time. When you realize that perhaps 75 to 80% of transgender teenagers have major suicide ideation, this was a bold and very loving thing to do. I'm particularly impressed because Jennifer came with Abby, her chief of staff, the only chief of staff. This is an office famous for very low turnover because they all are dedicated and devoted to Jennifer. Jennifer even graciously has given Abby to her successor. So she'll be here to keep the 10th District running well. Most people don't know this, but she is a proud citizen American of Italian heritage. She was born Jennifer Tossini. So in a place run by Nancy Pelosi for all those decades, this is a very smart thing to be an Italian American here. I also noted that her birthday was May 27th, which means probably once every 6 years, her birthday is on Memorial Day, which is a very good thing, a great place a time when we memorialize everyone who sacrificed for our country. And Jennifer, I don't want to give away your birth year, but she was born in those tragic weeks between the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and Bobby Kennedy. And I know that you were just a baby, but I sometimes think that at some level, that notion of being born into the heritage of two of the great public servants, the great martyrs, the great people who lived their lives to serve others, became part of who you are all life. I think that Bobby Scott probably said it best, that you're a woman of strength and character and grace. And I think I speak for all Virginians, maybe all Americans, for thanking you for your wonderful, grateful years of service for the people of Virginia, for all Americans. And with that, Mr. Speaker, I yield back. Oh, by the way, Mr. Speaker, before yielding back, I would like to point out that Jennifer Wexton did an eloquent, beautiful speech today in the Virginia House, and it's available on her Twitter account, or her X account, Rep. Wexton. So to all of you watching, please look at that speech. That will be so much better than anything that we could have said tonight. So with that, Mr. Speaker, I move that the House do now adjourn.